Good morning, y'all. Sorry about this. I got caught in the rain yesterday, and something has been going on with me. You know, the older you get, your body, everything starts shutting down. But anyway, I was having a conversation, and it was just a general conversation about a lot of things. Of course, relationship topics come up, things like that. And I won't say what we were actually talking about, but I remember making a statement of two of the hardest things I ever had to do in my life. One was bury my mom and have to accept that, and two was having to fully let go of somebody that you are in love with, but you know y'all can't be together. And it's not that you can't be together because of anything, except for you guys are on two different levels, growing in two different directions, and one is willing to work at it and the other is not. So to be in love with So actually, being in love with somebody and having to let go fully of all the things that y'all had, or the things that you guys did, and throughout their relationship, or things that made you think or feel that you guys were going to be together, or maybe they were the one, quote unquote. And having to just fully let that go. And that has been a struggle for me too, because sometimes I still try to pick that up, and knowing that I shouldn't, because it's like you'll end back up at square one again. So ladies, I do sympathize and struggle with a lot of you that are dealing with that. I've had people tell me, oh, you look like you make it so easy, like it's just it's not easy. It's not easy when you love somebody and when you're in love with somebody, and you know that it's not going to work, and you have to let it go. The battle is between the mind and the heart. And having to let go, not because they're not physically present or physically here, but having to let go of them because you feel like the more you're either growing or going in one direction, they're probably growing and going in another direction. And you find and see that God is not aligning your paths at all the way that you may have thought that he was aligning those paths. And again, like I say, there's some days I still pick in my mind, want to pick up the phone and call and talk to him, just like with my mama. Days I want to pick up the phone and call and talk to her, but I can't. But that's because she's not here physically, and I know I can't touch or feel or deal, see or talk to her. But this person, I know I can see, touch, feel, but I know I shouldn't be getting in touch with them. I shouldn't be in contact with. And it's not to say that it was any beef or any kind of bad breaking up or parting ways. It's just sometimes you have to do those things in order for you to be able to move forward and move on, so that you can get what it is that God does in fact have for you. And I can honestly say, I don't know if he is the one that God does have for me. He could very well be saying not right now. I definitely know that he's saying not right now. But a lot goes into those relationships as far as communication and things like that. And we all know men are not great at communicating at all. It just sucks that we get stuck with, and at the short end of that stick, with trying to make sure or that the proper communication is being had, but you're doing it by yourself. And the one thing that I did do while on this journey, quote unquote, is I actually met a guy, really nice, had his stuff together. I mean, just cool all around guy. I mean, he had a couple of little control issues or whatever, and obviously y'all know how I am with that. But the one thing that we did not have was we were unequally yoked religiously or spiritually, so to say. And if you know me, you know that's a big deal breaker for me. You don't love God, you don't have a relationship with him at all, or know him, or know something about him, that's a deal breaker for me, because I know where my help has come from and is going to continue to come from. And this guy, I'm talking all around great guy. We would go to restaurants. He ordered food for me, as far as, if I didn't know what was what, recommendations, just all the stops, pull out all the stops. And he he was also good at communicating. The first time I've ever had a man or talked to a guy that was that good and big on communication. And we would have a disagreement about something, nothing major, but I would be like, okay, never mind, don't worry about it. He'd say, no, let's talk about it. He'd say, no, tell me what it is that I said that, XYZ or whatever. And that was the one thing that I did like about him. He was willing to communicate that and put that out there. But we just were not compatible spiritually. On days where I'm feeling at my lowest, I have God to depend on, and prayerfully when I get a husband, my husband too. And I can't have that with him because he believes in more than one God and all this other extra stuff. So I didn't judge him for that. But that did teach me a couple of things in dealing with that. One, God showed me that there are still those type of good men out there that are going to be chivalrous and open doors and take you on walks and have communication and communicate with you about things, because we did those things. And it showed me also that I don't know how to communicate as effectively and as properly as I thought that I did know how to communicate. And so it showed me a glimpse into myself and how I've been communicating. So I'll forever be thankful and grateful for, this guy, for being who he was and being honest with me from the jump about everything. It wasn't one of those pretending. It wasn't well, I have to tell her that I'm a Christian because I like her and I think she's a beautiful woman. Or no, he was straight up with me. Now, he did tell me all the time, we'd be talking and he'd look at me and just be like, God, you're just so beautiful to sit up and talk to or listen to. Things that women want to hear. And, on daily occasions. And I know some of you will probably be like, so you let him go because of that and blah, blah, blah. It's a big thing to me because of he did everything right, had everything together, but because we were unequally yoked, and that's scriptural and biblical, and that's very important to me. And he's one of those, I already did my research type thing, so he was not budging on any of it, no matter how much I would tell him what was what. I didn't try to change his views on anything, but it was just the fact that we were actually able to, communicate about it and talk about it, and it not be an argument or not be an issue or any of that. He understood me, I understood him. But also learning that was God will sometimes send you what you think is the complete total package, just to see if you are aware of the red flags before you make that full total commitment. And I got out of that. This guy had his ducks in a row. He had all of it together. He had, 2 children. He took care of his kids, got his kids on weekends, whatever. Took care of all his business, had his own business. Ex-military, used to be in medical school. He had all of this stuff together. But if I were to dismiss the red flag of the religious thing and it unequally yoked and dismiss it because we're unequally yoked, I would pay for that in the long run. I would most definitely pay for that in the long run. And I'm tired of making these temporary mistakes when they're going to have long-term consequences eventually. I said all that to say this too. I could have very well fell into that trap because I was vulnerable and because I missed the ex or wanted to be with the ex, but that wasn't going to work, or to help me to get over the ex and do all of that. No, because that's not what I was talking to him either. Like, he genuinely was a great guy. But it just made me put a lot of things in perspective, that sometimes we do miss things. We don't really miss the actual person, or maybe we do. But it's sometimes the moments that we had, the memories that we're either pretending to be. And, we as women get lonely and vulnerable and feel like, we can't do any better or move on and move forward. But I'm here to tell you we can. But in order to do that, sometimes you have to cut all ties, no matter what, you know. And I still have this ex on certain social media sites, but I know that's going to change here eventually because I have to fully be able to part ways with this situation, because if I don't, I'll never be able to have Mr. Right or whoever it is that's trying to come into my life. And that's not to say that, I'm paying attention to the ex on social media, because I don't. Honestly, I don't go to his page. I don't do nothing unless they pop up in my news feed. But again, we have to let go of those things. As hard as it may be, we have to let go. And one thing about it that I've learned in my life is, if it's meant to be and if it's of God and God wants you to have it and he's or she is supposed to be yours, when you let it go, if it comes back, whether it be now, next year, 10 years, that's how you know for sure that it was real, it was true, it was what in fact God had for you and for that person. So the longer you hold on, the more I feel like you damage yourself. Again, the conversation we had, me and this person, was just, it was more on how do you do it? How can you do it? And I just had to let this person know it's not as easy as it seems or it looks like. I buried my mom, so that was in fact the hardest thing ever in my life. Holding on to and not letting go of someone that you love, that you cannot be with or should not. Maybe you shouldn't be with him. Maybe you guys were wrong for each other from the jump. You just were blinded by vulnerability, lust. And I'm not saying that's my situation, I'm just saying in general. But having to let go of someone who is physically present here on earth and not deal with them and not be in contact with them, but you love them, you're in love with them, but you have to let it go. That is the one of, I think, second hardest things that I think people have to deal with. And I'm going to say not just people, I can honestly and openly admit that that's something that I have dealt with before in my life and have struggled with once before. But anybody who knows me, once I am done completely, and it's out of my system, I'm done, And I say completely done unless God intervenes and interrupts and come through and do something different, because people change all the time. Things change. Situations and circumstances change, all the time. So, but one thing I cannot worry or stress myself with is the what ifs or maybe this or maybe that. One thing that I have to learn to do is just relax and let things flow. And I was told this the other day by a lady who was a prophetess, and that's what she was just saying, you just have to relax, and chill. And I'm always relaxed and chill until a lot of these men start bothering me and thinking that I'm what they want. And then when they get me and don't really want what it is that I want, But anyway, that's another story. But just chill. And that's what I'm doing. It's never an easy thing to do, letting go. I'll say depending on the situation, let me say that, because it depends on what you do to me. It might just be that easy for me to let you go, But in letting go, take time for yourself. Actually think about what it is that was going on within those relationships or their relationship, the common denominator in the relationship, which is you. If it's the same thing that's happening in every relationship, I can only speak for me. I can't speak for you and nobody else. Meditate on that. Think about that. Pray about that, and pray that God fixes that or heals you internally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and allows you to be able to not continue to harm or hurt others as they come across your path. Because I don't want to take none of it, no bitter, no nothing, into my next relationship. I just want to be just clean slate, start over scot-free, have a great and enjoy my relationship. and enjoy it without all the extra baggage. Every relationship is going to have something. They're going to have issues, going to have problems, you know. But I want to be able to enjoy it and not make my relationship be problematic because of what's happened in my past relationships, you know, or what's, you know, going on. Because if I don't work on myself and I don't heal myself, or allow God to heal me and heal my heart, then I'll keep damaging every relationship I'll get into, or being damaged and hurt even more by every relationship I get into. So just keep that in mind. You know, it gets better. You know, you get better. One day you wake up, you put on clothes, makeup, hair, and you just start going out, and you're going to be done forgot about it, you know. But continue to, you know, live life, because it's precious. And we never know when, you know, it'll be our time, you know. So anyway, I hope y'all have a great Sunday. Love y'all.